I want to pivot now to climate. America's new president is committed to addressing climate issues, even naming John Kerry as U.S. climate envoy. How will this, in your view, help repair or mend global climate crises efforts?
Well, the world is currently heaving a sigh of relief on climate action because of President Biden's election. And that's for two real reasons. One is he's put together quite a remarkable set of policy announcements in his executive order on climate change. We see that in terms of decision to rejoin the Paris Agreement. We've seen it in terms of what he's committed now to doing to bring about the decarbonisation of the energy sector by 2035. And most critically, by announcing a range of measures in his Build Back Better approach, which are designed to make this set of climate actions job intensive. That is, doing it with good jobs on the way through. The second reason why the world is heaving a sigh of relief is because he's put together a first-class team. When you look at John Kerry, who I know well, former US Secretary of State, this is a guy with enormous experience now as the Special Envoy on Climate, backed up in the field, of course, by the formidable resources of the State Department, now headed by another person who gets climate change action. That's the Secretary of State, Tony Blinken. So for those two sets of reasons, the world's feeling in a reasonably good place right now. No room for complacency, but we're in an infinitely better place than we were a few months ago.
Climate envoy Kerry says U.S. tensions with China really could complicate matters, especially on the climate. But he also says there's still time to find some kind of common ground. And here he was speaking to my colleague Fareed Zakaria this morning.
We don't have to go down that road. I think there are ways, and I think President Biden is deeply committed to and understands how to find those ways as well as anybody. I think he's the right president for this moment, partly because of that. His experience in foreign affairs, the relationship that he already has with President Xi is strong. I think that he's going to be critical to helping to get this equation to come together.
So you share his optimism?
Well, look, there's a fundamental national interest both in China and the United States that whatever the geopolitics of that relationship at present, and that is for both countries to work actively on climate change action at home and abroad. And I think, knowing China reasonably well, that's an active belief in Beijing as well. I saw Special Envoy John Kerry say the other day that climate collaboration should be seen as a standalone issue in the US-China relationship. I think he's right. I also think, given some polling research we in the Asia Society have done in the United States on voter attitudes since the last election on climate collaboration with China, that there is more than half of American voters want this to happen in order to guarantee real climate change outcomes. In fact, there's a huge slab of American voters, both Democrat and Republican, who want to see greater effort on renewable energy as well. So China, I think there's a way ahead. There'll still be strategic competition with China right across the economy, foreign policy, human rights, but you can accommodate climate collaboration on the way through.
And Prime Minister Rudd, you know, the Trump presidency strained several U.S. alliances around the world. President Biden says rebuilding them is his top priority. Do you think he can undo damage?
I believe the president can. Let's not underestimate the degree to which these relations have been damaged at a diplomatic level, at a political level, and at a substantive level. For example, the horrible message sent out to the world by the Trump administration's unilateral withdrawal from Paris, an agreement which took us years to put together back in 2015. So I think the international community, friends, allies, and partners of the United States are willing to give this new administration a real opportunity to rebuild. And on climate, what you now see with the executive order from President Biden, but also a determination to have a summit on climate chaired by the United States, In addition to that, reconvening gatherings such as the Major Economies Forum, leading the world in terms of mid-century carbon neutrality, leading the world in terms of what we now do with ambitious, nationally determined commitments to reduce greenhouse gas emissions through 2025 and 2030. American leadership is back. The world looks forward to it. And the good thing is, the team and the intellectual grunt to do it in Washington is now there.
Former Australian Prime Minister Kevin Rudd, thank you so much for being with us.
Good to be with you.
Now, with respect to China, obviously we have serious differences with China on some very, very important issues. And I am as mindful of that as anybody, having served as Secretary of State and in the Senate. The issues of theft of intellectual property and access to market, South China Sea, I mean, run the list. We all know them. Those issues will never be traded for anything that has to do with climate. That's not going to happen. President Biden is very, very clear about the need to address the other issues with China. And I know some people have been concerned. Nothing is going to be siphoned off into one area from another. Today, in the order that he will sign, that Gina has described to you, he makes climate central to foreign policy planning, to diplomacy, and to national security preparedness. It creates new platforms to coordinate climate action across the federal agencies and departments, sorely needed. And most importantly, it commissions a national intelligence estimate on the security implications of climate change to give all of us an even deeper understanding of the challenge. This is the first time a president has ever done that. And our 17 intelligence agencies are going to come together and assess exactly what the danger and damage and potential risks are. I think we can achieve things in the course of the next 4 years that will move the marketplace, the private sector, global finance, innovation and research, that in fact no political person in the future would be able to undo what the planet is going to be organizing over these next months and years. This is the start of something new. I don't know if you read Larry Fink's letter of BlackRock yesterday, but there's a new awareness among major asset managers and commercial banks and others about the need to be putting resources into this endeavor, because it is major in investment demand.
Yeah, I'm the dude who's supposed to deliver this in a timely way, and he sets the timing. So that basically, we want to make sure that the NDC is something that can be announced before the summit on Earth Day. And so we're going to be out of the gate working with the agencies to see what kind of reductions and mitigation opportunities there are. Now, in terms of the job issue, we're explicitly doing this because our economy is right now stagnant. We have millions of people out of work, out of jobs, millions of people that are afraid they can't feed their families. If you're faced with that, what do? You boost the economy and you grow jobs.